Okay, in preparation for an exam on Thursday, I thought I'd just go through a real quick review, besides the circle ones I just put out there, how we went around doing more or less a traverse, or basically two things: putting a line in with a known distance and direction, first off, and then secondly, putting in and going along a traverse or a figure where you got basically distances along the edges and then some internal turned angle. And to do that, start by turning us back to the kind of 2D drafting and annotation, for those of you who are using that, and realize you can kind of push up and down here, and then right away learning that we do minus toolbar, draw, we get it, we at least keep our draw toolbar around, and we hit a right click on any toolbar and bring up another set of toolbars, and we're going to bring up also the modify and put that out on this edge. But remember, what became really key is this was really one of the few times that we started to use the dynamic input. And so I'll give you the example. I'm going to go straight up 100 and then turn an angle here of 45 degrees, and you'll see what it looks like. But I want to go ahead and right away, if I'm going to use the dynamic here, I remember that none of this stuff is any good unless I do turn on the dynamic and then hit right click, shift right click, object snap settings, and go to the dynamic input. And remember, on the dynamic input, we want to more or less show the following dimension input simultaneously. Only we only want the resulting dimension on, if we're going to go through and do this. So you need to go ahead and do that and make sure things are set that way. If they're not, if you're going to use this basic, most efficient way to put stuff in. And let's look what that efficient way is. Hit OK, and we learn to turn these off and back on only when we need them. So I'm going to start with drafting a line that's 100 due north, and lots of different ways to do that. Nothing on. I can turn on my ortho, but we want to stick with this for now at 100 angle 90. Zoom E, zoom out a little bit, and now if I want to turn an angle here 45 degrees, I think of this as being actually a positive 45, because I take out my right hand and I think, see, my thumb is going out of the board when I twist in the direction that I'm spinning. And what I do is I grab first, I left click, and then I left click on what I want, and I space bar through until I come to the rotate. And I have to remember to say C for copy, and then give it the rotation angle of 45 degrees. At this point, I can escape, and remember now to turn on my dynamic. Click on that thing, left click, and then right away I can be able to change that. Maybe that was 50, and that's going to immediately change my distance there. Let's say the next one is going to turn 30 degrees off of here and then be 100 long. How do I do it? Left click over the top of one of these twisting. More or less, I'm left clicking now over the point I want to spin. Space bar, C for copy, and we're going to rotate this time minus 30. Hit a return, and then again we want to change the length by left clicking on the edge, and then tabbing right to that. And we've only give one option there, and that's why we changed the dynamic setting. So now if I type in 100, it's going to make that 100 long. Try it one more time. Let's say I'm going to turn this now a positive 13 degrees. I left click on one of the snaps, and if you notice there, it's trying to ask me, because my mouse is moved, but I can instead learn to use the snap, spacebar, rotate, C for copy, and then we want to go a positive 13, escaping, grabbing with a left click, then grabbing the end of what I want to grab there and changing that to 150 perhaps. That is how we go about putting in turned angles. of course, we remember, and we have to remember how to use the at command. So let's say, finally, I want to go at a direction of 195. I gotta learn to turn that off now and say align from the shift right click endpoint of here, and I'm going to say at, maybe it's a distance of 100, angle 195. It did something like that. Now, so we have to remember when to turn this on and when to turn it off, and also we have to remember that shift right click will get us to a set of object snap settings that we have to change. So we only want one resulting dimension. That, in my professional weak opinion, is probably the way that most students are going to most take advantage of very quickly being able to do traverses around and then cleaning things up. What we also show when we do that is we get very good at learning to grab a set of things first, left click along this at the spinny point I want to twist about, let's say it's that point there, and then either right clicking like someone in class want to do, or spacebar, 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 kind of toggling through what you want, getting to where you want to be, and then either hitting C for copy if you want to do a copy move, or just going from here. In this case, I'll hit C for copy, and I can then move another one out here instead of just using an array. Now, doing that and using toggles so we can lock the ortho and the like will make you very, very efficient. So develop that concept of grabbing across something if you want to copy, move, rotate, or scale it. Grabbing what you want, left clicking on something, and in this case, let's say we wanted to rotate it, but we didn't want to rotate it about that clicky point. We wanted to rotate about this intersection here. We would say B for base point, shift right click the intersection of that, and then say C for copy, and then maybe we want to copy it 20 degrees, and there's what you have. So that's the review, along with learning how to use fillets and everything else for these basic drawings, how to use a block that I've covered in the other two. Those concepts will be what we have on the exam on Thursday, and I would like everyone to be able to put one dimension on, so I do want you to be able to go to the dimension toolbar and put at least one or two dimensions on. Right click, here's your dimension toolbar, and you should be able to go and use, remember that you use the aligned dimension. This is somehow set in a weird thing. You won't be in your exam, and I'm going to grab here. I can either grab from the endpoint to the endpoint, or I can just grab the object, and if you notice there, that's going to do it. In this case, because of the settings that were set, it's going to be odd, so remember that was 100. So it won't look that way. Remember what you can do. You can always go ahead and change one thing, and that is in the Fit tab. If you notice here, there's a lot of different styles here, and what could we change? We can go to here. We can go to dim style. Where do we change it? We change it in the, you notice all the different dimension styles that are in this program, and we can modify. Where do we modify it? We modify it in the Fit tab, and maybe this will be 1,000. Let's see if that'll do it. Hit OK. Set current. Close. Well, that didn't quite work. 1,000 was too big, right? So we can go back here, dim style. Maybe I only wanted it to be, where do I go? In the Fit tab. Maybe I only wanted it to be 100. Set current, close. It starts to look a little bit better as we kind of play around with one number. So, in addition to doing it, you need to put one dimension on and raise your hand if, in fact, something's screwing your dimension settings that don't work. Thanks for listening. Those 3 things make the review for the exam. See ya.